Alright everyone, here's to the Iowa Democratic Party. I almost need 2 spoons to clank in celebration because this sort of, beyond the results, which by the way we don't have, and I'll get into that, this just corroborates what I've been saying about the Democrats for 2 fucking years. It doesn't even matter who won. They're thinking Bernie Sanders probably did win. Maybe his internal polling was right, and that's why they're having trouble wrapping their minds around it, putting the results out because they're assuming they're fake or they don't want them to be real. The other possibility that's registering in my mind is Sanders was very shrewd to release his internal polling right before the voting happened. A little bit underhanded, actually, but he releases his internal polling, and internal polling is usually very biased and very wrong. We've seen this before. The internal polling for Jeb's campaign was a joke. The internal polling for Mitt Romney, Hillary's internal polling showing her 7 points ahead. General or primaries, it's usually far off the mark. When Bernie Sanders' internal polling, therefore, has Biden in 4th, and Bernie Sanders running 20 points ahead of his nearest opponent, what that does is if he loses, it makes it look like it was rigged. Unfortunately for the Democrats, what's happening right now makes it look like it was rigged too. So if he didn't win, if Buttigieg really did get a surprise victory while being apparently linked to the company using the election app that they are using at the caucus, Lord help the Democrats, and Lord help them if this is replicated in New Hampshire. They won't recover for the rest of the electoral cycle. They'll have no choice, by the way, to have Bernie as the nominee because his fans will burn the DNC down for real if they don't. When Bernie Sanders fans ramble about putting the rest of the Democrats in gulags for re-education, they'll start hammering boards together, inept as they may be about any sort of construction work. They'll make an actual effort at some point because you'll have pissed them off so much. At the very least, Biden or Warren or whatever other boring neoliberal gets in there as nominee won't have the Sanders fans. Again, the worst thing that they did, the first shitty thing they did was allow Bernie to run. The second thing is to cheat him once he started. So it's a tale of Bernie Sanders there. We don't have Iowa results. Why? Oh, technical glitches. It's normal. The first caucus in the year for the Democrats and for the Republicans, Trump got 98%, by the way. Bill Weld managed to get just above 1%. Quite astonishing. A few people actually bothered to show up and cast a ballot for Bill Weld. Most of them have no clue who he is and simply don't like Trump. By the way, that shows solidification. It's a lot less never-Trumpers than there were in 2016. You may have noticed that. On the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders fans are 1/2 step right now from a paranoid breakdown in which they're blaming the DNC and Pete Buttigieg for fucking with the results. Hell, they might not even be wrong at this point. Dude, you're telling me that they can't even get the Iowacaucus right. First night of the year, politically, the big night. This is like equivalent to the first debate or something. If you fuck that up, it looks bad for the rest of the campaign. They basically just handed the election to Trump. When you think about it, look, Iowa is also an important state. It's a competitive, semi-competitive, leans red, state in the general election. You've just alienated all of the party loyal and made yourself a mockery there. This shows the dysfunction of state-level DNC apparatuses that I've spoken of before. Half of them are broke, and the down-balloters and people at the state level are getting hammered right now because of impeachment. This is a Democratic Party. Here's why I can believe that this is just a mistake, that it's just due to ineptitude and not due to election interference by the DNC, or Buttigieg, or whoever supposedly is responsible if Sanders loses. Here's why I can believe that. This is a party so dysfunctional that they literally can't even get enough donations to keep running half the time. All of these state-level DNC groups, half of them have had to cut staff because they're out of money. They can't do anything. They can't defend their down-ballot Democrats in the House and state legislatures. They're going to get wiped out. They think that it's a good idea to circle the wagons around Ralph Northam, of all people. They think that we're going to confiscate all the guns is good to say during an election season. They've gone so far out, they've gotten so weird at this point that they just say whatever pops into their head and they expect people to just embrace it, including people who have traditionally had a D after the name. What the DNC has done, what the Democratic Party has done is get complacent, decadent, and act like it is owed the votes of people who voted for them in the past. Therefore, they should be able to do and say whatever they want. But they can't even get the Iowacaucus to go off without a hitch. You'd think that would be given a considerable amount of importance. Oh yeah, it's just the first voting that happens. for the Dem nominee. It's just, arguably, other than Super Tuesday, the most important vote that'll be held during the primary process. Yeah, fuck it. We're going to allow an untested Caucus app to be deployed to allow people to... I don't even know. What's the story with the Caucus app? You know what? I don't even fucking care. Just burn it all to the ground. Nobody cares. Nobody cares at this point, I think, even about the results other than Bernie Sanders fans. Everyone else is like, wow. I bet, I guarantee here, I bet that more than one group of partisan Democrats, they don't want Trump to win. They're never Trumpers, basically. They looked at each other when the delay was issued last night. It's been a while since it's now the next fucking day. They still don't have results out. All we know is that the voting total is lower than 2016, supposedly. That, by the way, is terrible news for the Dems because it shows that no one's excited. Nobody fucking cares about your loser candidates. They all suck. More than one group of people that would never vote for Trump. They want to find a Democrat who's worth it. They want to support the Democratic Party. A lot of them probably are partisan Democrats. Looked at each other when that happened, shook their heads, and inside they were all thinking the same thing. God, Trump is going to run away with this. Trump is going to get reelected, isn't he? Because they've been told by the legacy media for a couple years now that he's basically a shoo-in to lose. Kind of sounds like 2015 now, don't it? They've been told he's weak, he's a weak incumbent, low approval, hasn't accomplished anything, threw money to the corporations, middle class totally didn't get a tax cut. Foreign nations laugh at us, he'll probably start wars and depressions and shit. They've been told he's a total fucking loser, but the Democrats can't even get the Iowacaucus to function. At some point, optically, people are going to notice the discrepancy. They're going to notice that the Republicans are fucking solidified. There is no real never-Trumper movement left. Mitt Romney is basically the standard bearer of a dead movement at this point. The Democrats can't even get a few tens of thousands of votes collated in a timely fashion. And it looks smelly. It looks torrid and terrible and corrupt. It looks like rigging. It doesn't have to be. It could just be technical issues. I'll even grant them that as a token and say, okay, you made a mistake, but it's one hell of a mistake. This is one of the biggest mistakes in modern politics. This is one of the big ones. This is bigger than deplorables. This is bigger than horses and bayonets a la Mitt Romney. This is bigger than binders full of women or killing Elmo or Big Bird or whatever it was. This is bigger than any weird scandalous shit we saw before. This is bigger than Bomb Iran. Remember John McCain and his little ditty in 2007? I remember it like it was yesterday, because I have to do this shit for a living. I have a lot of crazy slime in my head because I have to deal with politics all the time. This is a 9 out of 10 at least, if not the big one. This may be the biggest political scandal, really, in my lifetime, arguably. You know, unless you count Bush killing 500,000 people. Okay, other than the botched invasion of Iraq and the fact that we never really got Osama until much more recently, and supposedly. Not even going to talk about that one. Yeah, as far as domestic politics, I think this takes the cake. Oh my God. Just think, these losers want me to vote for them. And they think I'm a bigot if I don't. Well, you know what? Fuck you. You can't even run the Iowa caucus, dude. You're proving exactly what I've been saying for the last 2 years. You're proving everything that I said. I don't even care if my prediction is true at this point because it's going to take a back seat. The end results are ultimately going to take a back seat unless Sanders doesn't win, in which case 20-30% of Democrats will go haywire. And then it'll look like everything that he said about the establishment is real. It'd be funny. Actually, imagine some Bernie Sanders fans actually fucked with the voting system in order to cause this to happen so that everyone would get paranoid and then think Bernie was being screwed, even though he probably, in the end results, there's a better than 50-50 chance he did win the caucus. It is better than 50-50. But just think if Biden or Buttigieg did pull it off. His fans are going to go nuts. That would be funny watching them melt down. That'd be infinite entertainment. That'll keep me busy until New Hampshire. Trust me, I think that's in a week or whatever. That's about all. Peace out.